Okay, there we go. We're recording. You can see the indicator in the upper left-hand corner of your screen that it says it's recording.
Okay, how do I do it myself? Oh, you'll tell me in the workshop.
I'll show you how to do that in the workshop.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so we're just doing a special workshop for today. This is a very exclusive, I think, but normally I do these in small groups. I never do more than 10 people at a time to make it so that, because my belief is that the best way to learn a new system is to try it and fail and then succeed and then fail again. And so we need a safe space for you to be able to do that. So we're gonna try a few things here. It's going to take 90 minutes. Okay, it might be a little bit less. We can go slow because usually there's more questions for more people, but we're in no hurry. We're in no hurry. So, and I don't want to leave anyone behind. So if you get lost or can't, you get kind of disoriented, stop. Let me know, and we'll get reset up. Okay. All right. So we'll begin with a PowerPoint. Let me just pull that up.
I have a question while you're pulling that up with respect to the recording. Will we be able to download it or will it be left up online?
I can send you a download of it. It'll be pretty big. Yeah. Whichever you prefer. Okay, so this is how to use Zoom for organizers. Can you see the slide okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, oops. So who am I? So I think we're just meeting for the first time. So I'm Steve Staples. I've been in social movements for about 30 years. I'm a graduate student in the Faculty of Education at York University. Some of you may be familiar with some of the other work that I've done in the past. Ceasefire.ca, which is a big online network. I realize, Ellen, you're in Canada, right?
No.
Oh, you're in the US.
Yeah.
Okay, so you may not know this then. You're both in the US. So this was a big online network in Canada that I headed up, including the Rideau Institute on International Affairs in 2006 and Public Response in 2012. So I'm based in Toronto. I've worked for a number of organizations here that maybe you don't know about: the Council of Canadians, Polaris Institute, the Ontario Federation of Labor, and York University. So I've worked in the peace movement, the anti-corporate globalization movement, and in the labor movement. So many, now I also do research on climate change as well. So Public Response is a consultancy. It's a social enterprise that was built alongside of the NGO, which was the Rideau Institute, and we've serviced over 52 nonprofit organizations since 2012 in the area of online engagement, fundraising, membership development, things like that. So I'm also part of Peace Quest, which we have two versions of this workshop. One is this kind of paid version, which is for higher end, more advanced users. But I also do free workshops, how to use Zoom for beginners. And donations for that go to support the Peace Quest Leadership and Education Initiative, which does youth leadership and education programs to help build a more peaceful, sustainable, and fair world. And I'm on the board. I just came on the board of Peace Quest. Okay, so what are we going to learn today? We're going to do 90 minutes. And in the first part of that, the first 60 minutes, I'm going to talk about planning an effective and a successful Zoom meeting, how to keep the conversation going smoothly, and we're going to look at some of the engagement tools that you have, chat, how to maintain a speakers list, how to do quick votes, how to do screen sharing, whiteboards, polls, and breakout rooms. We'll optimize your settings for privacy and security. And in the end, we're going to do a tutorial on how to schedule a meeting and issue an invitation, and how to share your screen and use the whiteboard. And I'll also be showing you video recordings. So the first thing I wanted to start with is a little bit of theory, thinking about meeting or webinar. I think really a successful meeting that you have in this kind of environment, this digital environment, takes a lot of planning. It's not merely a question of technology. It's a question of planning and design and strategy in terms of what you want to achieve and how you're going to get there. The first question that a lot of people ask is, should I do a meeting or should I do a webinar? And so I kind of, Zoom does both. So I'm putting these as kind of two extremes. In the first column, webinar at the top and meeting at the bottom is kind of two areas. And then there's a lot of gray area between. And then you can decide which approach should be best for you depending on what you want to do. The first question that often comes to mind is, how many people are you expecting? Because there are some technological limits. I have the lowest level paid account right now myself. I think it's called Pro. And I can handle up to 100 people in a meeting format. But I've never actually done that many. I think the most I've done is like 52, which was pretty big. If you're getting over 50 and certainly over 100, you're definitely into the webinar zone. If you're only doing less than 50, which is I think the most common for Zoom meetings, or right down to a handful, then you're in the meeting zone, which is what we're doing right now. So we're in a meeting. You also have to think about what is the purpose or the desired outcome of the activity that you're doing. Is it, for instance, a presentation where you just have somebody speaking, or talking about some research that they've done, or showing a PowerPoint slide presentation? Is it a lecture where perhaps there's students who may be wanting to ask questions, either in a written format? Is it a panel discussion, perhaps, where you have more people? All of these, more speakers, like more than one speaker. So here you're getting closer into the webinar area. But if you're looking at making decisions, it's a decision-making body, or there's a workshop or discussion perhaps where you're going to want participants to not just either speak or send written questions to the presenter, but to communicate amongst each other. Then in a real discussion format, then you're definitely into a meeting environment where you want to be, or a fun social. So I do Zoom meetings all the time where it's family, where we're playing, some people playing games and things. And so where there really is no host, it's just a flat organization. There's no central person who's running it. It's just, there's no agenda. So you're definitely into a non-hierarchical meeting role. And the last question is, what is the role of participants? What is the level of engagement that you want to have with people? Are they just going to listen and watch? Then a webinar is fine. Written questions only, that could also be a webinar. If you're getting into oral questions where you're turning people's microphones on and off, then you're starting to get into maybe more of a meeting type scenario, and particularly where there's discussion, debate, or voting, or very non-hierarchical, then you're really into, I think, a meeting type session. Now, there's no hard and fast for these, and if you want, you can, I'm including the link in these PowerPoint slides that you can check out, and they have a more detailed explanation, at least in this case, the technological capabilities of what Zoom can handle. And by the way, I popped you a copy of this PowerPoint slide and another document on your email just before we started, so you've got a copy of this on your inbox. So planning the meeting, you're going to think of a few questions here. Once you've decided which format you're going to go, that you're going to go with the meeting, there's some other things that you need to think about. One is, who's attending? How well do you know them? This is, as you know, there's been some controversy around security settings and things on Zoom, and this thing called Zoom bombing. A Zoom bombing is when somebody unwanted comes into the meeting and disrupts it, either takes over the screen with rude or offensive images, or using their microphone to use audio to disrupt the proceedings in any way that they can. And that's called Zoom bombing. And there's been some media coverage on that and security concerns around Zoom. The answer to that is, a lot of this can be prevented. I'm not saying it's the organizer's fault, but in part, Zoom has been successful because it's so easy to use and so easy to get on. Many people were not using passwords, for instance, to make it very easy to get on. And when you don't use passwords, it means that basically you can get a situation where it's like being in a movie theater and someone running in and yelling fire. They're coming in the front door, they're not breaking in, there's no secret entrance. You've left the door open, they're coming in and they're disrupting the whole thing. So what you have to do is you have to set up some checks like passwords. You have to make sure that people aren't able to share their screen unless you as the organizer say they can. You have to know how to turn people's microphones off, things like that. So there's steps that you can take as an organizer to reduce the chance that that can happen. And by all means, certainly do not take your Zoom links and put them out on Twitter or Facebook or things like that, because that's also how some of these people were just coming into these meetings, because the organizers of the meetings had publicized the link everywhere, and it was just a matter of someone clicking who had some bad intentions, and that's what they were doing. So, and I'm going to show you some of the things that you can do to kind of prevent that from happening. So how well do you know them? You need to require heavy passwords and security if they're colleagues? No. But if you're doing anything where people are coming on that you haven't met them, you may want to increase your security. How will they be connecting? As you know, the great thing about Zoom is that people can connect not only on a computer, but also on their telephones. So if you have people phoning in, there's going to be some things that you're going to need to think of. First of all, you're going to have to make sure that that is turned on, that people can connect by phone, and that's connected that's turned on in the settings, but also that they have the phone numbers, that they've been warned that they might incur some long distance charges depending on where they are and what phone number they're dialing. Now, Zoom has some local numbers that you can hand that a person can find and hopefully mitigate against that. And today, with a lot of long distance plans within North American calls, there's no cost. But also, if you're doing votes and you're using some of the engagement tools on Zoom that require people to click and read and do votes, obviously people on telephones will not be able to do that. So you'll need to come up with a plan to integrate that. So for instance, one of the organizations that I'm involved in, one of the board members is visually impaired. So he always connects on the telephone, and then the chair has to remember that when we're doing voting, where everyone else is clicking, we have to make sure that the person who's visually impaired has a way to participate fully and make their vote and to enter their vote. And we usually do that by telephone. What documents are required? How are you going to distribute them? You can send things around by email, certainly in advance, but maybe some documents you want to share during the meeting. So, you know, if you've ever used the chat window, you know that you can put links in the chat window and send them around. So that means that those documents will have to be stored on some server somewhere, like Dropbox or Google Drive or something like that. And then you can grab the URL and share the URL in the chat window so that the document can be shared that way. Now look at the terms of the process. If you're chairing a meeting on Zoom, there are some certain obligations that you have to do. For instance, you're probably going to keep the speakers list if lots of people are going to want to talk about some of the topics. And as the organizer in the Zoom environment, you're going to need to come up with a plan as to how you're going to recognize people who want to speak, who are indicating to you that they want to speak, and then how you're going to keep your list. So normally what we would do is if we were just in a meeting of 10 people or whatever, you know, people just raise their hands. And it's a non-verbal way. But some people may want to say, I want to speak. Some people have been trained in the world of, you know, where we did a lot of conference calls, where we didn't use video, we just had audio. People would have certain cue words like Steve stack is a word that's used. So stack indicates to the chair that Steve wants to be added to the speakers list. So you got to figure out what it is you're going to use, and I'll show you some of the tools that are available in Zoom to handle speakers lists. And the thing is, though, you have to be consistent. And you need to kind of let people know at the beginning, you need to set the terms of the process right from the beginning, saying, okay, we're going to use the raised hand feature, and this is how you raise your hand digitally in Zoom. and you may need to train everybody. And I'm seeing that more often, is that the beginning of the meeting is taken up by people doing a little refresher training course to make sure that everybody's on the same page. If there's going to be votes or motions, there's a polling feature in here that can handle written questions with options, more than one options, and people can vote using that. Elections as well. And so you may want to get those in advance and load them into the back end of Zoom so that you can just call them up when a point of the agenda is arrived at. You can just call them straight up. And recording the meeting. So for instance, we can record all the meetings, but the protocol is that you never come onto a call with the recording already started. You should ask everybody in advance, let them know that it's being recorded, and get everybody's agreement to do that. That's just the kind of the protocol around that. Okay, so just gonna stop sharing for a sec. Are there any questions so far? Can you see and hear okay? Yeah, Mary Beth, yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions already. When you sent out the announcement, it had a meeting ID and password number.
Mm-hmm.
Now, every Zoom meeting I've been on has those, but nobody's ever used them. And I wondered what they're for. When do they get used? Why are they important? Another question I had was, you said that in order to use a document during the meeting, you have to store it on Dropbox or Google Drive deal. My understanding of that is when you do a Google Doc, you have to invite people to be able to share the document. But if you don't know ahead of time who all is going to be on the call, how do you make sure that they are invited to the document?
Right. Okay. So I'll talk about those are great questions. I'll talk about the password issue. This is why Zoom got in trouble. One is in part why Zoom's so successful is they made it so easy for people to join calls that it became quickly adopted. It's not the only platform. There's WebEx, there's GoToMeeting, there's a whole bunch of them. But and it's been around for like 10 years. But it was so easy to use that it became sort of ubiquitous particularly amongst NGOs where I live, and I think you guys live too, that NGOs really started using it. It's also free for users, so you can come on. But that's how the Zoom bombers took advantage of that when this became suddenly so popular after the pandemic hit that, of course, it got a lot of attention, and the Zoom bombers figured that out. Now, on the invitation, there's different levels of security that you can require. So for instance, I could have put my settings so that you had to register for this in advance. And you had to go on the website, register, and then it would send a message back to you that you would use.
Will you show us how to do that?
Yeah. Then there's another system where that you can require a password, but there's a catch. One is you can ask the people to actually type in the password when they arrive, or you can embed the password in the link URL. So that URL that you're clicking on, the password is embedded in all those numbers and letters that come at the end. So that's not entirely perfect. It does kind of undermine the process of having a password, but it is better than, at least it's a unique URL for each meeting, and that you're not using the same URL for every meeting.
So that's what you did today. You embedded it in our link to join the meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I kind of did a midway point, because I know some people get really confused. They can't find the links. It can be confusing for people. But originally I was using a Zoom feature which they designate a dedicated URL for each user, which is me, and I could just hand this link out and to anyone, and you could use it, and we could get on a call. And I didn't have to go in and do any preparation, and it was really easy to use. But that's what I had to change that, because that's what was causing vulnerabilities to Zoom, is that this thing got forwarded around, if that number got sent around, you know, people could use it. So you have to have a unique number first, and then embed a password or require someone to do it.
You said the unique number, that's the meeting ID number?
Yes. Yeah. So the other thing too, Mary Beth, is in the invitation, why does it appear there? People on the phone have to enter it in.
I see.
So it's mostly there for people on the phone, because they'll have to key it in. Yeah. Now the second question on sharing links. Okay, I was merely, I mean, I'm not an expert on Google Drive, and I don't actually like that platform, because I do find there's all these permissions, and you've got so many. I got a plethora of Gmail accounts that I don't even use because of people trying to get me on Google Drives. I use Dropbox myself, but what I meant to say is they're cloud-based servers that you can share a document just using a link. So assuming that everyone's got the permissions to go see it, the only thing that you need to send to a person to use it is a link. Now it could be, if you do a website, for instance, you know, you can put a document in the back end of your website, as long as it's got a URL to it. You know, I mean, that was kind of what I was referring to. In some cases, I know that I've done collaborations where we've set up a Google Drive, and we're all permissioned and we're all running it, you know, all the time. So that permission issue is not a problem. It's just, here's that new document I put in the folder the other day, and then there's the link. And so that stuff's already been set up. Okay, is that covered okay?
Yeah, let's see. You mentioned keeping your list. So I've been told that it's harder to, like if you invite tons of people to a webinar and you don't know ahead of time who they're going to be, is it possible to capture their email so that you can communicate with them later? Is there a way to do that?
If you set up a registration process for them to use before they come onto the webinar, yes. But otherwise, when they come in, you don't know who they are. Now you and Ellen have not registered. So if you just showed up, I wouldn't have your email address right now. But
registered. I hit the registration link anyway.
Yes, but that was a process that I set up. That wasn't really part of Zoom. So Zoom has its own registration, which is mostly used for webinars. So you can capture the email and first name and last name. There's a bunch of fields that you can ask people to fill in.
Will you show us that?
I'll show you where to click it on.
Okay.
So chances are, if we were doing a big public call, we would want to do it as a webinar rather than a meeting then.
Yeah, definitely. That's why, I put that, check out that chart and follow the link if you'd like to see what Zoom says. But definitely, if you're doing a big public meeting and you're just inviting the public and you want to share that URL all over Timbuktu, oh yeah, definitely you're doing a webinar, because there's much tighter controls as an organizer. People can't speak. You don't even see them. It just, which is kind of weird, because all you see is just the speakers and whatnot. I'm so used to seeing all these faces, but no, it's very passive. It's like watching television.
When you do take a stack in a webinar, like in Q&A, do you see them when they ask a question?
No, I think what you do is you can turn their microphones on, and then you can hear them. So the moderator can turn their microphones on.
This is sort of tricky.
I haven't done a lot of webinars. I usually do meetings, but I am looking at doing another workshop just for webinars.
Yeah, one of the projects that we're talking about doing in my committee is to do a big public Zoom call and ask people to share their stories about how the economy, such as it is, has hurt them or their families over the last few years. And of course, we won't know who everyone is ahead of time. We'd probably have to have them register. But the whole advantage of the Zoom, we thought, would be to be able to show these people as they're telling their story, and give them each, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to say where they're from, and um, you know, my healthcare expenses have forced me to sell my house and live with my daughter, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it sounds like that's going to be very difficult to do and still be safe.
You can do it. What you would do is you would make them a meeting panelist. And you would have to have, I haven't actually done it, but you would have to have someone turn it on and off. You have to have someone pretty good at the controls. And you have to have a process in place to identify people who wanted to be added to speak, right? And then the chair would need to be able to call on them and coordinate probably with a second person. I would say it's a 2-person job at least. And the second person would click on. I'll show you that. If we carry on, I'll get in the meeting. There's not a lot of difference between a webinar and this. I think probably the back end is very similar, but there are, it's not completely different. Yeah.
Are you going to show us how to enable voting on here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all. I'm sorry to have interrupted.
I'll show you voting, but we're not going to build one because I found out on Saturday or on Friday actually that polling is only available to people with paid accounts. So you've both signed up for an account on Zoom?
Not yet.
I'm working with an organization that has signed up for a paid webinar account. I guess it's the Pro or something
Okay.
like.
But did you get my note? I know this was all pulled together kind of fast, but I sent a note this morning okay. So you'll need to register and set up a Zoom account. So today, so then we can show you. I'm going to show you how to schedule a meeting. But you'll need to have we can do it real quick. It won't take long. You just need to enter a password and set up a password and that kind of thing. It's really fast.
You haven't done that yet, Mary Beth?
I don't think so. Every meeting I've been in, you just had to click on the link and you were in.
Yes, that's as a participant. But you're in this workshop is to become an organizer of a meeting.
I see.
So
Okay.
you're going to be a
I've never
host.
done that. So.
Right. In what Zoom? Yeah. Well, so I do 2 workshops. The beginner workshop gets you to connect to someone else's meeting and participate in it. Handle the view, handle your mic, handle that kind of stuff. But it doesn't handle you organizing your own workshop and inviting people to join. So that's what you're going to learn today.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to show you something here quickly, a trick. When you're hosting a meeting, you'll notice that the Zoom wants to always have the speaker, when it's called speaker view, wants to have the speaker highlighted in the big screen. And if the dog meows or the cat barks and someone else has got their mic on, the thing jumps to that other person and they're just sitting there. And so there's 2 ways to prevent that. One is you can train your participants to use something called pin video, which allows them to choose which face they want to look at and then keep it on there. But you can also do it yourself as the organizer from your end. And it's called Spotlight Video. So this is a great trick that I would highly recommend if you're ever hosting a meeting. Not many people know how to do this, so I've shown this to you. I use it all the time. So I'm just going to show you this. So if you see on the screen, if you hold your mouse over your own picture, you get 2 blue boxes here and one with 3 dots. And then you get a pull down menu and you see here's pin video. So if you're a user right now, if you do this, you'll see pin video and that keeps my video or whoever's video on top. As an organizer, you get different options and you'll have spotlight video and you can turn that on and that means that that person's face is always on top. Okay, and I've got a little link of a little article here of how to use
How do you get to this?
spotlight video.
How do you get to this screen, this
That's
option?
this screen. That's this screen right here. Are you looking at gallery view?
It's participants at the bottom, right?
Gallery view.
There's a-
No. Are
there's
you? Which kind of view are you in? Are you seeing just my picture right now, or are you seeing all three of us?
I was at speaker view, but you guys are on the bottom.
Okay, jump into gallery view.
Okay.
Okay, hold your mouse.
Oh,
over
now I
my-
see.
Hold your mouse over my picture, for instance.
I got it.
Yeah. See, and you can see pin video, so you can do pin video yourself.
I see.
Ellen, did you see that?
Well, I pulled you up. I'm not sure. No.
Hold your mouse over my picture.
Yeah.
Wiggle the mouse, and you'll see two blue squares appear.
Yeah. I only see one. But
Or one blue square. Sorry, one blue. I see two. You see one. So what I see is different than what you see. And when you become organizers, you'll see different things. And then you just pick on the three dots, and a bunch of options will appear, and one of them is pin video.
okay.
Did you get it? And then
Yeah.
my picture goes really big in your screen.
Right.
Now
And
you
I-
won't see
you
Mary
did
Beth.
that- I did it with Mary Beth and myself also. So,
So if we were the organizer, we'd have more options. Right now,
Yeah.
all we have are mute or pin video or whatever those things are. Rename, stop video, mute, hide something or other.
That's right.
Hide
So
self-view.
as I'll just show you quickly. So on mine, this is the organizer view. I've got mute my audio, stop video, rename, pin video, spotlight video. I can edit my profile picture and hide my self view.
will you explain Spotlight video again?
We're just about to leave it, but the URL is right there, okay? So when you're a host, you can just do Spotlight Video.
Ellen, it just means that the video won't shift if your dog barks in the background.
Or someone else's dog barks,
Right.
who's got their mic turned on. Yeah, it keeps it stable.
But it will move around to the speakers. No.
No, right, I'm gonna put you on, I'm on Spotlight Video right now, okay? So right now, I'm really big on your screen, and I'm gonna be staying that way as long as because I can do that as an organizer, and it helps other people so that their video doesn't jump around all over the place.
I see.
They may not know pin video, or they may, they just don't know that stuff. So you just take care of it for them by using Spotlight.
And then in this view, if we speak like I'm doing now, our video doesn't go into the major spot where Stephen is now. It
Right,
means
but you can be
we
seen.
stay down in the gallery section.
Right. I can still see you out in the upper square, but yeah.
So if there were 10 of us on here and not all of us were visible at the same time, would it pop up with whoever is speaking, like myself? Would that pop up to the top?
No, my picture would stay on. You'd see me listening to the speaker.
And you wouldn't see my face while I was speaking if there were
I
20
could
pictures.
see you across the top.
Yeah.
And if the user didn't like that, if they wanted to switch that, they could click on the top and go to gallery view, and that way they see everybody's face, like the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
And they could certainly see everybody that way.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's take a look at what's happening on the bottom here. So I'm going to share my screen again. So we're going to talk about the user controls that you have available to you. Now, when you're the host of the meeting or the organizer, you've got additional controls available to you that the participants don't see. And let me put a caveat on this. If you're using a Macintosh or different versions of software, some of these may change. Also, it depends on, sometimes if you have different settings turned on and off in the back end of Zoom, some features may or may not be available to you. So don't be alarmed if you don't see things. It could be a setting. It could be the environment that you're working in. It might be a little bit different. Also, if you have a paid account or a not paid account, like for instance, I have a paid account so I can see polls, but if you have a free account, I don't think you're going to see polls. Anyway, so if we look at the bottom here, you see these are along the bottom of the screen, and we've got, you know the microphone, you know your video already, but I have security, you have participants, I have managed participants, so I'm going to show you that. Polls, chat, share screen, all of these tools that are along the bottom. And then when they don't fit in the screen, you get this little more thing with 3 dots. There may be some more stuff hidden behind there that you have access to. So let's start with manage participants. You'll notice that when you have a participants window, and here you can see everybody who's on the call, and you have some controls over them. I can turn their microphones on and off. I can turn their videos on and off. There's different things that I can do by just putting my mouse over that person's name, and I can control their settings to a certain degree. I also have other settings that I can control as well over the discussion, and I just did a little highlight here. You can set mute participants on entry. That means when people enter the meeting, their microphone is already muted automatically. I can allow people to unmute themselves, which is what you'd want, but maybe, there may be a case when you don't want that. Allow persons to rename themselves, play enter exit chime so that when a new speaker or a new person comes on to the call, you hear a little ding dong kind of thing.
Does everybody hear that?
Yeah. I always turn it off, but you can have it on if you want. There's a waiting room feature. So waiting room is just like the doctor's office. When you go to see the doctor, you don't walk through the door of the clinic and go in and see the doctor right away. You're in this waiting room, and then someone comes out and invites you to come in further. So it's the same thing in Zoom, is that when people come in, it can be put in sort of this zone, this waiting zone, a waiting room. And then as an organizer, you're going to get a message right up here in the participants window that says, oh, Ellen is here and she's waiting to be allowed access to the meeting room. Yes or no? And then you just hit yes, and then Ellen comes into the meeting room. So it's got an advantage in that there's an extra level of security to it, but you got to manage that. There's a lot of clicking. There's more clicking, and you don't want to lose people. So that's the manage participants window. I'm just going to come back for a sec. Why don't you make sure you've got your participants window on right now? If you just want to click on it, you'll see the list. And you've got some, remember I mentioned that you've got to set sort of protocol in terms of how you want people to indicate how they're going to speak. The most common one is raise hand. So you see that, you probably know how to raise your hand. There's a little button down there and a little blue hand pops up. That's very handy. That's becoming a much more common way to create speakers lists. And as one of the reasons why I decided to do these workshops is because we as activists all need a common language now, and we need a new language that everybody understands. And so just like Mary Beth, I think you recognize the term stack.
Yes.
Right? So me too. I learned it at Abolition 2000. I'm on the coordinating committee of Abolition 2000 as well. And we've used it for years on our conference calls. And it's
Wilf as well.
Yeah, so it's part, Wilf is there, reaching critical will, yeah. So I know Wilfers well. I know, Morna Ballantyne, she's a good friend of mine. I was just emailing her this morning.
Edith is her mother. She's been active even all decades. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So yes, I know Wilf well. And I know Susie and all those folks. Wilf was quite active on the West Coast. So I worked in Vancouver, and we had a number of active West Coast chapters. Not so much in Central Canada, so much. It's a different group. It's Voice of Women here in Central Canada, but on the West Coast, it was.
West Coast here in the U.S. is also our strongest region.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. Anyway, so you've got the raise hand, and that can become, and that's quite good. I like to use that. So, because I can see it in the management, I can see it on the participants window, that little blue hand comes up, and it also appears in your window.
That's under reactions, which you won't see it unless you press reactions. So that's how you
Could be
ask people
sometimes
to
people see
engage.
it as a big icon. It appears different ways
I
sometimes,
see.
but people will see it. So yeah, like I don't have raise hand as an organizer. So obviously I don't raise my own hand, but anyway, you also have the yes, no. You can make use of the yes, no at the bottom too for quick straw poll votes. So you can say, like for instance, where it's not a multiple choice question, you say, is everyone in favor of passing the minutes? Yes,
Okay,
no,
yeah,
or no.
it looks like this or this on mine.
Well, that's different. There's a thumbs up, thumbs down. But if you look at the bottom, do you have a green yes and a red no?
No. Where would it be?
Under participants.
Under the bottom of the participants window.
And that's where the raise hand is.
Okay.
Do
I
you see it?
see. Yes.
And it appears next to your name. And then I assume that as the organizer, that you see the whole list and you see what's happening.
That's right.
Let's go slower, go faster.
That's a cue to the person who's speaking. And that comes to me and it's like, oh my God, this Steve guy is so boring. I'm falling asleep. Could you please click go faster? And I get a little electric shock in my chair and then I speed up.
Really? How does the organizer see that?
We'll go ahead and push it and then I'll show you.
Oh, I see.
So you see, I can see it up here. You see that?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Go faster. You can also see that I'm sharing my screen, that little green
You can
indicator.
go slower, Nasty.
It's so confusing. Ellen wants me to go faster. Mary Beth wants me to slow down. What am I supposed to do? Also, you see at the bottom, I have a little 1 over it. I don't know if you can see it. It's pretty small.
Yes, yes.
But if you vote, if you click yes, a little 1 will appear above my check mark, and I can see.
Oh,
I can do
so
a
that's
quick
how you know how
straw
people
poll.
are
So you
voting.
can
that's
you can
great.
track how many of each.
You don't
Yeah,
have
so I can
to
say-
count them. Okay.
Yeah, so something like approving the minutes, people just just say click yes if you approve the minutes, and or especially if there's a lot, and it's faster. You don't have to get people to turn their mics on and stuff. You can just move faster, more quickly.
There's 3 dots and a more, and there's some other things in there. There's thumbs up, thumbs down, clapping, and what's the coffee cup mean?
It means I need coffee bad. See you later. I'll be
I'm
back.
about to go to the bathroom, but I don't.
I'll
want
be
to
back.
say
But yeah,
so.
they should have a little toilet there, shouldn't they? A little something. Washroom. Down to the outhouse. They should have a little half moon. Outhouse. That would be fun. Okay, so I'm going to power on here because I see we're almost at 1 and we're having a good time and I'm fine, but I don't want to keep you all day because we've got a few things to go through. Okay, so that is the participants window. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on chat. Click on your chat if you want. I'm sure you're familiar with chat. It's another great tool for engagement, and you can ask people to use the chat, whether it's, they can send you questions on chat. Some people try to use chat to do speakers lists. I advise against it. I think the raised hand is way better, but the chat, some people try to use chat. Share links in it.
So everyone can see what I typed, right?
Yes, because you went Mary Beth to everyone.
Now I see when I clicked on the 2, it only showed everyone or you. It doesn't individualize. Is there a way that you can send a message to an individual?
Yeah, there's a setting in there. I turn that off in my settings. I don't allow people to do that just because I think it's like
Irritating.
well, yeah, and frankly, I think it's misleading because there is no, it's the internet. There's no private message.
Yeah.
It's the internet. Nothing is private,
Yeah, but if you don't want to interrupt the flow of things, but you have something that you need to get to say to somebody that's also on the,
You could, or you could just send them a text on the phone. I see people on their phones. So, you know, there's lots of different ways to do that. But anyway, yeah, absolutely. You could turn that on and allow that. Also, people always make mistakes. They think they're sending it to their friend and it goes to everyone. So
is the, so there, all of these functions that you can turn on or off, the video, audio, the mute part on entry, allow participants to unmute, allow participants to rename themselves, enter the waiting room, lock the meeting. Is there a way to share that with another host? In other words, can you, like you said earlier, if you were going to do a really big webinar, you'd need 2 people to do it.
yeah,
Is there a way to share the hosting duties so that more people can help you with this piece?
yeah, absolutely. That's called a co-host. And you can make people a co-host and they have the same controls as you. Yeah. Some of these meetings get pretty big. Okay, let's carry on because I want to show you breakout rooms. I got a sense that you're going to want to see the breakout rooms. So that was chat. Next, I'm going to show you share screen. And as a closing activity, I don't know if you got my email this morning. You might have missed it, but I said find something that we can share today. Because if you can master share screen, you've covered a lot of stuff. Like you can do a lot of stuff. If you can't use share screen, it's much more limited. So I'm just going to show you my share screen. Okay, I'm going to show you a little something about sharing. Now, sharing is tricky. You got to be careful. It's easy to get confused in the sharing window. So there's a couple of things that you have to do. First of all, share screen appears at the bottom of your screen, and there's a button. So that's step 1. You select share screen. Now, right now, I have it set so that you as users, or sorry, you as participants cannot share your screen, but I'm going to turn that on a little bit later. Share the screen. Then you've got to make a choice. So you get this window appear in front of you, and look at this. There's a lot of stuff going on here. It's a lot of stuff. It's confusing, but first thing is you got to basically choose between. You've got 3 choices here that I would say. First one is to share your own screen. So that is like your desktop. Okay. So people are looking at your computer the same way that you're looking at, and that's good. The advantage of that is if you want to share, let's say I'm teaching you to move from one application to another, and I've got you browsing the internet, and now I say, okay, now open your email, and you've got to move from one application to another. Shared screen is the way to do it because it can see what's going on in your desktop. But the downside is if you've got a chat feature going on, or you get little windows that pop up when emails come in, personal stuff, it's all going to show up to everybody. So that's the downside. Now, B is to use these windows down here. And these windows, if you notice, these are programs that I have running on my computer right now. So it looks like I've got a Google window open. I've got a PowerPoint running. That's an Outlook. It's my Outlook email. I got a Word document open. I got all this stuff going on. And if I click on one of those, then I'm just going to share that program, and that's it. And so people are only going to see that program. So if there's other notifications and stuff coming in on the background, meeting participants won't see it. So that's very good too. But the downside is that if you want to switch from one application to another and show people, they can't see it. And I've run into that problem myself where I was in the program sharing mode, and I switched to another application, and everyone said, "We can't see it anymore, Steve." Like, what are you talking about?
When you switch to what?
Well, like I was in a web browser, and then I switched to my email, and I was trying to show them something in the email, and they were left behind. They were staring at the web browser window.
because you hadn't changed the program. You just changed.
I changed, but it's because I was only sharing the program. I was only sharing the web browser.
Right.
If I wanted to move between applications, I needed to share my screen. And I had clicked the wrong button when I started sharing.
You fix it, or are you pretty much
I just
screwed it
stopped
up.
sharing and then went back and shared the screen. But it took me a minute to figure out what was going on. I was like, what? It just took me a second to kind of figure out. It's like, oh, okay. So yeah, push the wrong button. C is the whiteboard. There's a whiteboard thing. It's basically just this space. I can show you the whiteboard. It's just kind of a collaborative space that you can just draw with a pencil and things. That would be C. Okay, so remember I said you push share screen, that's number one. You choose which of these you want. You want the screen, do you want a program, or do you want the whiteboard? So A, B, or C. And then remember number two, click share to start sharing. There's a blue button down here in the bottom corner. There's an extra click. A lot of people forget this. They choose what they want and they expect it to come on. You almost expect it to come on right away, but it doesn't. There's a second button you've got to push.
What does the whiteboard look like?
Yeah, I'll show you. It looks like this. You have a number of tools like text, draw, stamp, that kind of thing.
So you
So
can
if
type.
it's text, you type in there, you can type.
Yes.
Yeah.
Such a happy face.
This is a literal self-portrait. This is what I look like. Oh, see, you might notice the resemblance.
You need a little goatee though. You need a little.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, I forgot that. Okay, well, I'll put that in later.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, I was wondering I can see lots of applications for that, but I didn't know what it would look like.
It is good. Some people use it I know a colleague of mine works in business and they do internet workflows, and so they can draw the workflows, or say you were doing a registration process for a conference and you need to show a system, be able to move things around.
Could you take notes on there?
I would suggest no, it doesn't. What you'd want to do is you want to type on a Word document, probably. It's really set up for that. Okay, so that is okay. Good. We got the whiteboard and the share screen, and we're gonna come back to share screen at the end. That's gonna be your, this is a pass-fail workshop, so you have to share your screen, then you get a big pass at the end. Let's do breakout rooms. Breakout rooms are super fun. This is an awesome feature that Zoom has, especially if you've got big people, Mary Beth, this big meeting that you've got planning, and say you want to send people off to the small rooms, right? So I'm sure we've all been in those conferences where we go into the small rooms and have discussion, and then one person comes back and reports to the whole group. So Zoom allows you to do this. It's called breakout rooms. So I'm going to back to the deck here. Show you how this works. So breakout rooms is a button that appears as an organizer. You get this button here called breakout rooms, and this is in your PowerPoint, by the way, so you can look at this and check out the link. And there's 3 different ways that you can assign people to which breakout rooms they want. First of all, you can create as many breakout rooms as you'd like. So today I'll probably do 2.
What's the limit?
Pardon me?
What's the limit?
I don't know, but someone sent me a note the other day, said MIT is doing it with like 300 breakout rooms. Like, it was a massive number. So I'm not sure.
How do you control that?
Right here. So when you click the breakout room, yeah, well, like how would you do 300? Yeah, exactly. But here you've got, as I mentioned, there's 3 ways to assign people. One is automatically, and Zoom just shuffles the deck and just puts people wherever. Second is to do it manually. So I can assign people myself as an organizer, say, okay, Ellen, you're in room 1, Mary Beth, you're in room 1, Steve, you're in room 2. A third way, and I haven't actually done this, but I know you can do it, is you can create a list in like an Excel spreadsheet of who's in which room and load it up into the back end beforehand. Now that's pretty high tech, because Zoom doesn't know who's on the call unless you've asked everybody to register. And if you haven't asked people, like right now, I don't think Zoom knows that Mary Beth and Ellen are here. They know I'm here. It knows I'm here, but they don't know your name or who you are. So it wouldn't know how to sort them. So I think that's a little more level of complication. But either automatic or manually will probably suffice in most cases. So then you get this, then you say, okay, I'm going to hit, I chose automatic, breakout room 1, breakout room 2, everybody's assigned. And then I have some controls here. I can move them automatically. I can allow you to choose to go in, which is what I'll do. And then when you close them down, you don't, you can send, there's a countdown to people. So it's not like, you know, it's not like the conversation suddenly ends. I say, okay, time's up, and I'll push the closed room buttons, and a timer will start counting down. So you'll see, if you're in the room, you'll see the counter, and you'll know, oh, you've got a minute left to wrap up. Very good, eh? Like really, very thoughtful, very thoughtful. I like that.
It automatically shows up.
Yeah. So let's try it. Okay, so I'm going to set up 2 breakout rooms.
Can you, as the controller of it, can you be heard by both of us?
I can join the rooms.
But you have to bounce from one to the other. You can't.
Yeah.
Can't.
Okay, so I'm going to put you both in one room, and I'm going to be in the other. Okay, I hope this works because there's only 3 of us, so hopefully this will work. And then I'm going to, once you're in there, there'll be and I hit stop meeting, there'll be a 10-second countdown. I'll just change that to 5. Maybe 5? No, it's only 10, so it's, okay, so here we go. I'm going to send you to your rooms, and then I'll end the room. I'll send you a message, hello, and then I'll end the room, and you'll come back in 10 seconds.
Okay.
So now you see a message.
Automatically, you can move yourself over too, once that happens.
Okay.
Can you record in the breakout rooms, or is that dead space in the recording?
Good question. I'm not sure.
Can you do
don't know.
polls in the breakout room?
I suspect not. I have no, there's certainly no indication of a function here that would allow me to do much of anything other than I can send you to the room, I can send you messages, I can join your room, and I can leave and then go to, like I can be a bumblebee and go around. But I'm not sure if you have the same level of engagement as you would in the whole meeting. I haven't seen that. That's a good question.
Can the person who, the people who are in the breakout room, can any of them record while it's going on?
I don't know. You'd have to experiment with that. I mean, maybe if you went into the meeting, I can send you the meeting. You tell me if the record button is available to you. You have a record button, right?
Where would it be? I don't see one.
Along the bottom.
I don't see one.
Oh, that's probably because I have your ability to record turned off. Do I? You don't see, Mary Beth, do you have one in yours?
I'm trying to see what it looks like.
No, I think you may not. I may only have it as an organizer. Sorry about that. I have to go ahead and turn that on.
Earlier, I saw a record button, but I don't see it now.
Okay. You know what?
I think that was just Stevens when he recorded his.
That might have been my screen. The best way to do stuff like that, you know what? Get some friends together, set it up, and play with it. That's what I do. Try stuff out. Sometimes I sit here with a couple of laptops open. Experiment, see what happens.
So we can set up a faux Zoom meeting anytime to figure out how to work on it.
If you want, it will certainly, yeah, if you guys are working on a big meeting, I would definitely get some staff and get some of the people to do a dry run. Test it out so that everyone's familiar with it. Definitely. Don't try to figure it out on the fly. I often just set up a meeting and go in and test out some tools or test out some techniques just to make sure that, yeah.
Just by yourself.
Just by myself, yeah. I'll take a cell phone and log in on a cell phone, and I got an iPad, and I can, some of these screens you see, there's like me, myself, and I on there, just because I'm just testing things out. Okay, so that is the breakout rooms. I'm going to show you one more thing on security measures. So in meeting security, Zoom has added this new feature. It's a button that's available to me. It's called security, and there's a few things that are available behind it. I can lock the meeting, which means that no one else can join. Or I can just enable a waiting room. So anyone else who comes in from now on has to go into the waiting room. So even if I didn't have the waiting room set up at the beginning, I can start it now. So any latecomers have to get put in there. See, the Zoom bombers. Imagine if the person who's coming in to yell fire in the theater gets stopped in the lobby, right? They can't get in. They can get in the front door, but they can't get past the lobby. This is not a bad metaphor. Yeah, it kind of works. Okay. Allow participants to share their screen. I can turn that on and off because remember, that's what Zoom bombers are doing. They're sharing their screens with rude pictures and it's disrupting the call. I got chat, rename. I can remove participants too. So this has recently been added on Zoom because of complaints.
What's the rename themselves? Why would people do that?
Because sometimes people come on to meetings. I don't know why they would do it maliciously. But I do know that just sort of innocently, people come onto a meeting with an iPad and their name is iPad, or living room, or I don't know, something like that. And it's just because
whatever their Wi-Fi name is shows up.
Yes, yeah. And so you just want to say, I want my name, or maybe I don't want my last name. Maybe I just want to be known as Bill or whatever. So, yeah. Okay, now we're running a little bit over. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to go back into the back end now, and we're going to talk about how Zoom handles setting up meetings. I'm going to walk you through the process. So I'm going to share my screen again.
I only have, it's only 1:12 here. We're supposed to go to 1:30, right?
Right. Yeah.
It was an hour for the teaching and then half an hour for experimenting.
Yeah, the tutorial.
Okay.
So we're running about 10 minutes.
We were a little after 1 though when we got into it. So
that's true.
I mean, the afternoon.
Well, we're okay. I'm in no rush.
Right. Wonderful.
Well, as long as you guys aren't.
No
okay
rush.
for you guys? Okay. So now, what's the big difference between Zoom and the other platforms? We've used Skype and we've used FaceTime, and both of those work like telephones. Like you ring, you ping the other person, and they answer, and then they come on. Well, Zoom doesn't do that. Zoom was 10 years. It's 10 years old. It started off as enterprise, that is for use in businesses, and businesses always plan meetings in advance. So that's how Zoom works. You schedule a meeting, and then you send out an invitation, and then people join the meeting. So it's 2 steps. You schedule it, and then you send out the invitations, and then people come at the appointed time. Now, one of the things that Zoom does, and when you're scheduling a meeting, is it asks you a million questions before you do it. Do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want this turned on? Do you want the participants to do that? Do you want the participants to do that? Yes or no, right? And we've already gone through a lot of these questions. I've shown you all the variables that you've got. New people on entry, blah, 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 blah. Use a password. There's dozens of them. So what I've done, let me explain this. So there's a thing here called settings. Now, what is settings? Settings is really good. It sets the defaults or your preferences for all your future meetings going ahead. So you can say you only have to answer all these questions once, and then Zoom remembers it, and it applies it to every future meeting that you organize. Now, you can still make changes in individual meetings. You can say, for this meeting, I want this feature turned on. And you can do that easily. But it's just this sort of first template that goes through. There's a lot of them, and in here controls things like we were talking about earlier, for instance, embedding passwords or not, that type of thing. Mute on entry, there's some security elements to it. So what I've done is I've created a document right here, and I PDF'd it for you as well, where you can go through your settings, just follow along, and I've marked on or off with my recommendations, and just follow the recommendations, and you'll have optimized security settings for yourself. And you can learn about them at your leisure as you go through, but it's like, let's go 10, go 8 pages, 10 pages long. But you can go through that when you've got some time and optimize your settings, and that'll be the best setup for you moving forward. And like I say, you can always change it at any time. So this window, by the way, is a very common window in Zoom, where you'll see this menu. Right now you're looking at a PowerPoint slide, but when we're actually on the website, this is how you basically perform all your functions. You do your settings, you change your personal profile, and you can see this is where you access recordings, webinars, and meetings. So I'm going to show you how to schedule a meeting next. So to schedule a meeting, you go to the Meetings tab. And we're going to do this together. I'm going to actually ask you to schedule your own meeting. You go to your Meetings tab, and then you would click on Schedule a Meeting. Okay? And then you're taken to that window that looks like this, where you're asked to fill in what's the topic of your meeting. So you put the title here, and then you choose a time. Those are the essential elements of any scheduling of a meeting. What is the topic? What is the time? Then as you scroll down, you're presented with this URL, which people use to click to join the meeting. And there's a button here that says copy the invitation. Okay? You click on copy the invitation, and it pops up a window that looks like this. And here, this probably looks familiar. It shows you the topic, the date. Here's the link, the Join Zoom meeting link, and all the phone numbers, because I'm allowing people to dial in. And then at the bottom, you click copy the meeting invitation. So this goes onto your clipboard, right? This goes on your clipboard. This is the copy paste function. You copy it, it's on your clipboard. You don't actually see it. The computer knows it. It's in its memory. Then you get out of Zoom, you close down the window, and you go to your email. Right? So here you are in Outlook. I use Outlook. It can be anything. Yahoo, whatever you like. And you open up a new email, it's blank. You put your cursor in the message section, and then you click on paste. And it pastes the invitation. And then it's just a matter, as easy as sending an email to all your friends or your committee members or whoever you want to send it to. And they all get the email invitation, just like I did before this meeting. And that is a super easy way to invite people just by email. Nothing fancy. There's no crazy back-end stuff. It's just this. And that's it. So you just switch to a blank email. Okay? So I'm going to stop sharing now. And we're going to schedule it. Now you're going to have to log in. You're going to have to set up an account real quickly here. So what I'd like you to do is minimize Zoom here right now and open up a web browser. Okay? So you know how to minimize the window and open up a web browser?
Yeah.
Okay. So open up a browser and go to zoom.us. Tell me when you've made it there.
Okay.
Okay. So now you'll see something there that'll say like sign up or sign in or something like that.
Yeah, sign up, it's free.
Sign up, it's free. Click on that. And just pop in your whatever information it wants, probably a login and a password.
It wants my date of birth.
So I'm already signed up, so it's taking
Okay,
me
good.
to schedule a new meeting.
So just click on your account and it'll take you to that window with those options down the left-hand side. Was that you, Ellen, who said you had an account?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you're good. So we'll just let Mary Beth
Yeah,
set it up.
I got my picture up there and I click on that one.
So now I have to find the email to be able to sign in. Click the confirmation link. They're a little slow on their confirmation email thing. Let me refresh my screen. There it is. Okay, activate account. No, I'm not signing up on behalf of the school.
Steve, I have my picture up and it shows up in the corner. But when I go on a Zoom meeting, is there any way to substitute that for the video? Because when I don't want to use the video, it just has my name on in the box for me.
I kind of find that funny because in my case, when I turn my video off, my profile picture appears.
Yeah,
I thought yours would too, because I'm looking at the participants window right now, Ellen, and I don't see your picture.
yeah.
It just says
I don't
MG
understand it.
or ET. Sorry, ET.
So I guess, is there any way to figure out how to make that happen?
Probably I would just go into Zoom and use the help and say, how do I make my profile picture appear?
Okay.
It says invite your colleagues. Why would I want to do that?
I don't know.
I'm going to skip this step. Okay, excellent. It's time to start your meeting, your personal meeting URL. So do you
Okay.
want me to start that now?
No. So let's go to, if you could just sign in and go to your account. And we were looking for that window, which is, here, let me just grab it.
It says, due to increased demand, dial-in by phone audio conferencing may be temporarily removed from your free basic account. We strongly recommend using computer audio capabilities. Okay. Starting April 5th to enhance security, meeting passwords and waiting rooms will be turned on by default.
Okay, so you're going to change that in your settings. So what we're looking for is this window right here, zoom.us/meeting.
Let me see where you are.
Does everyone have that?
Hold on a minute.
Zoom.us/meeting.
Yes.
Okay, and then you've got you click on the meetings on the left, and then you click on schedule a new meeting.
Okay.
Okay, and then let's just pretend you're creating a meeting for this afternoon or something. You just put in a topic.
Okay.
Okay, and you just choose a time.
Right.
Now, this says duration 1 hour, but I wouldn't be able to do an actual hour because I'm not paid. I don't pay for it, right? It would just be 45
Right,
minutes.
it'll cut you off at 40 minutes, yeah. Okay, so let me know when you've done that.
It says meeting password. I have to create a meeting password.
No, okay, hold on a sec. Did you select it? Did you just put in the topic and you selected the time?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna run through this with you, the rest of the screen. Okay, so we scroll down and you see time zone, set that. Recurring meeting as if this is a meeting that's happening all the time, so you don't need to choose that. You were asking me about registration. This is where you would say that registration is required for this meeting. So you would select that here.
Where does it say that? Because I see meeting ID. It says generate automatically or personal meeting ID.
After time zone, is there one called registration?
No. It goes to meeting ID.
No, meeting ID and then meeting password.
Okay, sorry. So it must only be available for me on a paid account. So this is where registration would be turned on and off. Meeting ID. Never use your personal meeting ID. This is the problem people are getting into. This is the great feature that allows you to always use one number for everything. This is what was getting people into trouble. Always use generate automatically. Always require a password. Have that ticked. And then Zoom just assigns one.
Can you set up your own password?
I think so. Yeah, it looks like you can.
Yeah.
Start typing in. Video host on. So this is whether when you come on as a host, whether you want your video on or not. Participant should be off. Let people turn on their own video. Then you'll have audio, telephone, computer audio, or both. You probably have that.
So our video as a host should be on, but the participants is off.
Correct. Yeah. And then there's meeting options. Enable join before host. So this is a question that's asking you, if people come onto your meeting before you get there, do you want them to be able to like see one another and join the meeting or not? So I usually have it turned on.
If you have it turned off, it goes into the waiting room.
Well, sort of. They're in kind of a limbo, but it's not exactly a waiting room because in a waiting room, you as the organizer have to give them permission to come in. In this
Oh,
case,
I know what it is. It's what we had with you just now. It was wait until host appears.
that's right. Then everyone will
It's a blank
be
page.
moved in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the enable join before host.
Yes. And then there's a waiting room. Mine has a waiting room feature here. I can turn it on. And there's various other options that may or may not be there for you. But anyway,
Record the meeting automatically on the local computer. That's for the host to record the meeting.
yeah, never turn that on. You should always do it. If you want to record a meeting, always ask permission of everybody in the call and then do it manually. That's just
Courtesy.
protocol kind of thing.
Privacy. All right, so so
then
we want to click enable join before host,
Yeah,
not enable waiting room.
right. Okay, and then you just scroll to the bottom and hit save.
You do not enable the waiting room.
Not unless you want it.
Okay.
Typically, I roll without it.
The meeting ID. Always use the personal one. No, generate
Always.
automatically.
Always generate automatically.
Okay. All right. Now, because we put in the time zone where we are, if we're inviting somebody on the West Coast, what happens?
I think they have to do the math.
Okay. That can be a problem.
Okay, so just push save when you're done.
And then you can edit if you want to.
Yeah. You can even add in. Sometimes I just add in the Pacific time number just by hand.
Okay, we have the time set up. We have offers to add to a Google Calendar.
Yeah, I mean, there's some fancy pants things about adding in calendars and whatnot, but really what you want to go down is just go down and hit copy invitation.
Okay.
You see the button on the right-hand side?
I do.
Ellen, do you see yours?
I do. I just did it.
Okay, great. So then you'll get the window, and then there's another blue button that says copy to clipboard, I think it is.
Copy meeting invitation.
Yeah, copy meeting invitation. So it'll go to your clipboard. You just click that. And then when you're done that, close this down and jump into your email
Wow, that's pretty
and
neat.
open up a blank email, just like you're about to send a new message to a friend.
Okay.
Okay, and then you just put your cursor in the blank part of the message and push paste, or hit Control V on your keyboard. Control V is also paste.
Done. I sent it to myself as an email. Hot dog.
Okay? Sorry, I'm losing my audio here for some reason. I can hardly hear you. Okay, good. Awesome. Well, there you go. So you now have scheduled your first meeting.
Now, I just put up my little like that, and then it went away. Did you put it down?
Nope. I
It
think
just disappears after a while.
just does it automatically.
Good deal.
Okay, Ellen, did you get all the way to the email and pasting it?
I did.
All right.
Yep.
You're golden.
We're professionals.
You're like, you're mavens. You're Zoom mavens now. All right. The last thing, why don't you come on back to the Zoom meeting? Click Zoom on the bottom. We're gonna do a screen share. So tell me when you're back.
Back.
Okay. So, who wants to go first?
I can.
Click away. You got something? You have something in mind that you want to share?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just a document I'm working on, but yeah.
Okay. Is the document open and running right now on your computer?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you can click share screen and you can go straight to that document if you want. It should be one of the, one of those the B row that I mentioned. So click share screen
It
and
says
then,
host disabled participant screen sharing.
I'm sorry. I do that every time. You think I'd figured it out by now? Try it now.
Okay, I got it. And
Okay.
I just click on what I want to share.
Yep. And then remember, you got to hit the other blue button at the bottom.
Okay.
There it is. I can see it.
Oh, good.
If you thought escrow was something you put in salad. Wonderful. What's this for?
My committee is working on monetary policy issues,
Mhm.
and we're trying to get people to think in a different way about how debt works. Debt fuels war, and war fuels debt. But we're going to start by explaining how money is created and why, for instance, during pandemics, it's easy to just issue trillions of new dollars. It's like that.
Suddenly, it's not an issue anymore.
Hey, suddenly everything they told us we couldn't afford, we can afford.
Yeah. Amazing. That's
Yeah.
great. That sounds like a great project.
It's going slowly, but
It's tough
it's moving
for people to
along.
get their head around it because it's so different than how their
It's
own lives and their own banking works.
very dense. And the
Yeah.
truth is, all of us think banks work one way, but they don't. And in monetary reform, we want to try and get banks to work the way we think they work, but they
Yes.
don't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a lot to explain. It's very dense.
Okay, that's awesome. All right. So if you hit stop sharing,
It took me to my document and away from the Zoom meeting.
yeah. So at the very top, you'll probably see a little stripe and it says stop sharing.
Oh yeah, thank you. There you go.
Great. Okay, Ellen, you're up.
So I hit share screen.
Share screen. You have what you want to share open already on your computer?
I do.
Okay, great. So you can do the option B. Oh, yeah,
Mary Ellen, Mary Jane.
Yeah,
that's great.
this is the Disarm End Wars.
Webpage.
You might get a kick out of seeing this. Oh, it didn't go into it. So I tried clicking on something and it didn't go into it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Uh-huh. Do you see that?
I do, that's you and Carol.
Okay.
Oh, I know Carol.
Carol Lerner? You know her?
Yeah, she comes to the Abolition 2000 meetings.
Yeah, I used to.
Used to, yes, used to.
She's pretty much a stay-at-home person now.
Yeah.
She and I went on tours of the country in 2016 and 2017 talking about
What was that
talking-
sign from, Ellen?
huh?
What's the sign from that was behind you in that picture?
That's from the Quaker Meeting House in Portland, Oregon. Outside.
Really nice.
Do you see the Let's End the Whole Nuclear Era page
Yep,
now?
yep.
So you see whatever's on the screen there, huh? Okay.
Oh, I only see what you're showing in the program. So I'm not seeing your desktop or anything else because you're only sharing the program,
Okay.
which is good. It's a good way to
So
do
you
it.
can move around. Yeah.
So Ellen, are you clicking on links in your, on that page and showing
Yes.
us those?
Yeah.
So those are all active in this. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Good. That's easy. All right. And then so I have to stop sharing.
As my friend says, it's easy once you know how.
Yes.
It's getting there. But once you do it, that's why I really like doing the tutorial thing because see, now you know. If I had just told you or if you just watched the video, I'm not sure you would have
Right,
known.
it's different. You know what, Ellen? We should in the next 2 days schedule a meeting between the two of us to practice. I don't know about you, but I'll forget about all this stuff if I don't do it often.
Yeah. I think we
Yeah.
should do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to show you one more thing before we wrap up. So about the recordings, so kind of the post meeting thing. So when you do recordings, they are available in the back end here. So you remember on that window when you logged in and you had profile, meetings, webinars, recording, settings, there's one called recordings and you get a window that looks like this and you can search by date and then you get a link to the meeting. This is a meeting from April 16th. I think it was just a test I was doing. And then you get this, you can download it and you can share the link. And
So how do we, you have recorded this call. But so you can access that, but you would have to share the URL for it.
yeah, this right here, the shareable link.
Okay.
So let me ask you, we have done audio conferences using Maestro. Do you know Maestro?
No.
It's a conferencing platform, but it's only audio. And we're able to share the recording on our website. Can we share these links and let people view them on our website afterwards?
Yeah, you can share them. You can download them and post them on YouTube. You can do all kinds of things with them.
Yeah.
Hard to do. I mean,
This you might be. Will you be?
Sorry, the video files are so big. How difficult is it to share them?
Well, I think that's why they have the shareable link, so you can probably access them. They just stay on the Zoom server. But I'm not sure how long they stay on there. If you really want to keep them for good, You got to download them, and I would suggest putting them on some kind of cloud server like Dropbox or something like that, and allow people to download it to their local computers.
Yeah, it's pretty long for a YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So, download it, load it onto Dropbox or a cloud server, and then what is the next step?
Share the link to it so that people can download it.
Okay.
I mean, I love Dropbox. I use Dropbox. Everything's on Dropbox. It's
I
just,
hate Dropbox.
you
It
don't like
seems
it.
to, I never add things to it, and it just pulls stuff. I don't even recognize what's on my Dropbox account, but it's constantly telling me it's full. It's like, I never put anything on there. How could it be full? So I'm
Because
really,
it's syncing with your hard drive automatically.
but my hard drive doesn't have pictures of people I don't know on there.
Well, that is a mystery.
Yeah, I mean, so I
That's
don't,
you're linked with somebody else's Dropbox probably.
well, I don't know how that
Maybe
happened.
someone shared their Dropbox with you, and then it's being synced. Theirs is being
To
synced.
get out of that.
You have to stop sharing with them. Do you recognize the pictures? Do you know whose they are?
Oh, these are people I've never seen before.
Oh, that's weird.
It is, and it's documents that I have no idea what they are, why I have them.
I don't
So
You
know.
might want to set up a different Dropbox.
That is bizarre. Well, what you can do is just log into the Dropbox website and manage it from there, and look at your account, and you can see the directories of all the stuff that's coming in, and then you can stop sharing. And just turn it off.
When I do this though, I have to share it in order to be able to share the link, right?
Yeah,
the-
well, if it's in your Dropbox, if you got it loaded up into Dropbox, or even if you have it on a local folder that's syncing with Dropbox, you just hold your mouse over the file in your what's it called? File Explorer, whatever it is, and you right click, and you're getting all these options, and one is copy Dropbox link.
And
it
then
gives you
it's just that particular file that gets copied.
That's right. You can share that around, and people just download it just like something off a website or something.
You don't want to do it by sharing the folder though, because that's,
Yeah, no, just the
that
file.
might- yeah, just.
Yeah.
Because if you share the folder, then they can upload onto it. That's probably what you did at some point.
Yeah, you're just copying the link to the file.
Okay, I need help with that. I'll have to get somebody to help me with it. Because I've stopped using it entirely. Well, I didn't use it much to begin with, but it's so irritating to get your Dropbox file is full. What?
Yeah, yeah. Mine is more intentional. I pay for business accounts. It's good, and all the company's material is all in Dropbox, so it's available here. It's on my phone. It's at work. It's wherever.
But if you're using the free version, then you have a limit to how much you can put up.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
Yes, definitely.
I think even on my version, there's a limit, but it's
A higher.
pretty high. Pretty high.
Mine must be pretty high because there are thousands of photographs of people I don't know on there. Like, what?
All right, gang. Well, that's we've come to the end.
Okay, so last word. We're going to be sharing this with our friends in Wilk, and last word is if they want more information, where do they get that?
They call me. Call me.
All right, what's your phone number?
In the email.
Yeah.
It's in the email, and
Why don't you say
sure
it
to
again for the,
share the power 647-327-7187. The company's public response, and what you want is share the PDF that I emailed you that goes along with this, and all my contact information is in there as well.
And on zoom.us, there are tutorials.
That's right. In the PDF that I sent you, I have curated some of the best videos that I found on their help file and inserted them into the PDF presentation for you, so you can access them straight from there.
Great.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
We're so
Cool.
grateful to public response. Thank you. It's
No
a
worries.
wonderful service.
Good. I'm glad you found it useful. Mary Beth, I wanted to mention to you that I saw 2 charges come in from your credit card on there. So I'm assuming one is an accident.
Yeah, I only paid once. I mean, I thought I only paid once.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and double check because it looked like there might have been a second one. I wasn't sure whether maybe you were paying for yourself and Ellen, or maybe there was a third person coming in. I wasn't really sure.
Can you refund one?
Oh yeah, no problem.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, but I just wanted to check with you. I wasn't sure what was happening, so that's why I was going to ask you.
And I got a call from my bank this morning asking me if that was a legitimate charge, and they didn't let it go through last night. I guess it was because you're in Canada and they didn't recognize it. So I put in a request for the check to be sent, and you'll be getting that.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you so much.
Okay, great gang. Happy Zooming. Say hi to everyone at Wilf.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, Ellen.
Bye-bye, Mary Beth.